In terms of career decision, I would say that I made my career decisions by myself without any pressure from my husband or from my family. Although, of course, they have always been there to guide and advise, but I'm one among all the many women in the world who could make their decisions for their career. And that my family and my husband have supported my decisions and the way I used my time and my talents and opportunities to contribute to whatever I can in all the work that I have done. It may be worthwhile to mention that I started my career in politics as a very young person. And during that time, there were not many women that are elected in public office. And I was sitting in a local parliament, which we call the provincial board, that is dominated by men, with only around 2 or 3 women sitting in the board. And I was then the youngest and single woman sitting with lawyers and very savvy politicians. But I think it's very important that men and the other gender recognize the capacities of women, and I think that comes from a long history of how our leaders at the international level and also at the national level have fought for gender equality. During the time that I took this position at a very young age, it was also the time in my country where a lot of issues on gender equality and a lot of legislation at the very high level are supporting the equality of women, and that opportunities for women to lead the government and to be in equal positions in the government are supported. But going back to how my family supported, I think it's important for them to recognize the value of what a woman contributes, and that they do not necessarily impose that a woman should just be doing things in the home or serving the husband or the needs of their children. But it's important for the family to recognize and value how we as women could also contribute beyond our own individual homes, but to the society as a whole. I think that kind of value within the family roots from the fact that the family members need to have an understanding of what is a respectful relationship, and that is not just coming from the husband but with the children as well. It's important for the children to also value that living together should be striving about a good balance and being happy in the family, and that violence in whatever form does not have any place in the home. So as a mother, for me, I have always told my children, 3 of them are boys, and 1 girl, that being respectful means not hurting any of your siblings or any people outside of your home. That, for example, if you are hurt, it does not mean that if you are not going to fight back that you are a loser. So walk away and show the better way of dealing with violence, not only against women but also against everybody. So so we have heard a lot of advocacies about educating women and children, and I strongly believe around education and starting even with the very young people, but not just about educating women, it's also about educating boys and men and our fathers and our husbands and brothers and friends about the importance of valuing a relationship with a woman. I think having that kind of respect that you are spouses and that you both equally contribute to the welfare of your family, that you are equally able to contribute to your careers, and that you are equally able to contribute to the good of the society. Having that kind of understanding and respect is very important, and therefore it's very important to have that kind of educating these men and spouses about this issue. Again, preventing violence, particularly within the family. Particularly, I come from a culture that is very much Asian, and in my country, for example, there's always thinking that if you are not sparing, if you're going to spare the rod, then you're going to spoil the child, and that goes like on in every family. And we have had always this kind of jokes that if, for example, in my country, if you're going to beat children, then it's okay, but if you're going to the Western world, then beating children, you get imprisoned. And these are true differences, because sometimes it's rooted on culture, sometimes it's also rooted on some kind of legal, more advanced legal infrastructures or systems. But again, eventually it goes down, whatever happens around in the society, which of course is a very important influence. It always goes down to how you are going to be able to stimulate that kind of common value within the home, within the house. And teaching your children about this is already a big contribution to me as a parent, as a mother, for preventing, violence against women and against anyone. It's high time that in our advocacies that we are not just going to talk about the vulnerabilities of women. It's high time that we need to promote what women in the world can do. The talents they have, the mental strength, the strength that's coming from their heart as mothers and as contributors in the society, that needs to be recognized and that needs to be valued. People should stop looking at women as the weaker sex, because that's not just true, because physical strength is not the measure of strength. The measure of strength lies in the character of the person, in the integrity of the person, on his or her determination to contribute to the value of his family and a society. So if I were to be an advocate for women's equality, then I would not be talking about vulnerability, because women are not vulnerable.